Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on March the 1st, 2022. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, to help me repopulate the Earth.
You do realize that's not going to work, right? I don't care how many times you try, and you're not going to even once with Caffeine Rage.
On today's show, we will, of course, be discussing the games that we have played, game devs respond to the Ukraine invasion, Nintendo Switch Online adds missions and rewards section, Amazon Luna launches in the United States, Rimworld was refused classification in Australia, banning it from sale. In our weekly community corner, Sid Meier warns the game industry about monetization, and if time allows, we'll have a Steam Discovery queue. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hello, Rach.
Hello.
What's up?
Well, not much right now. Doing a show.
Right.
Like
Doing a show, as one does.
So there's that, which is nice.
I think I might be doing the same thing, doing a show. It's hard to tell though.
Yeah. Well, that got weird, huh?
Yep, that's it. That's all, folks. See you next time.
Probably our strangest intro yet. Which is saying something.
Yep. Yeah, the world is a strange place right now, to put it mildly. We'll talk more about that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about nuclear weapons.
Yeah,
and not in the fun, wacky Fallout way.
Yep. The real, oh no, we're all gonna die way. At least that's how people feel.
Mm-hmm. And for one of the few times in the last, 6 or 7 years, I'm somewhat glad I'm not in Europe.
Yeah. For the only time in my life so far, I'm glad to not be in Europe right now.
Well, also, what the fuck?
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, I mean, one, I envy you. Where's your rock? I want to come under it sometimes. And two,
they could be in the future, assuming we still have one.
That's true. But Russia invaded the Ukraine last week while we were recording. That would have been when the invasion first happened.
But news didn't really break till the next day, at least for us.
Yeah. So, there's fighting in Ukraine. It's pretty much immediately turned into a guerrilla war. Russia's military is massively larger than the Ukraine's, and especially in the first couple of days, there was no aid going that direction yet. So they pretty much immediately began using guerrilla tactics, and so far have been successful in harassing the Russians enough to make them upset. More specifically, to make Putin upset. But it's obviously much more complicated than that. If you don't know much, or somehow, like I said, lived under a rock and hadn't heard about it, go, look up some news articles from reputable or mostly reputable sources and start going through it. A very significant event.
Yeah,
this is
I'm tired of living through interesting times.
Me too.
Can we live through some boring times, please?
Oh, God, please. Can only be so erect. I'd have too many hard conversations with my son these last 3 years about existential life issues and, all right, now this is a really significant time in history in your life, moving forward. It's going to be in the history books. This is a big deal. Why, Daddy? Why is it such a big deal? Well, it's complicated. Do you have the attention span to sit through, 50, 100, 200 years of political science history about Russia? Although, honestly, my kid is a huge nerd.
We'll just tell him it involves trains.
Right. Some of it does. But yeah, no, my kid is a huge nerd who loves that stuff, so I don't think it would be an issue for him.
Yeah, just get him to play Metro. He'll love the train portions.
Right. He would have nightmares of all of the scary stuff.
Oh, don't worry, I would as well.
But yeah, We'll probably talk a little bit more about that later. But for now, hey Rage, what game did you play this week
Well,
that you want to talk
speaking
about?
of the apocalypse, I played a post-apocalyptic game, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond.
Okay.
It, and there's some hints in the extended lore that people has kind of theory crafted that Pokemon is technically post-apocalyptic. So,
Hmm.
all right,
Yeah, because isn't in the Pokemon story there was like a huge war or something,
yeah,
and then all the world governments were like, no more guns and weapons. We'll just use Pokemans.
yeah. Although the latest, at least for now, game that's set essentially before everything, uh, kind of hints at the apocalypse being somewhat more recent with all the Pokemon showing up because if you go with some of the Pokedex entries, it's kind of crazy,
Yeah,
right?
slim pickings.
So I've been playing this game on and off for a while. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. This is the now somewhat recent remake of the Generation 4 game, Pokemon Diamond. And I have some mixed thoughts on it. And I think part of it is that it tries to be a very authentic recreation of a Game Boy game. So there's a lot of times that it feels like it's kind of wasting my time, and then there's other times that the modern conveniences that they put in feels like they kind of screwed up the difficulty curve.
Yeah.
So overall, I did enjoy my time with it. I've actually beaten the primary game as of this point, and that's why I've kind of held off on talking about it. Is that I wanted to actually complete the game first, or I should say, complete the main story, which is basically Grumpy McGrumperson wants to remake the world by capturing the Lake Guardians and using them to summon forth the god of time or space, or depending on the version you're using, because, right? Uh, to destroy the world and recreate it. And instead, he gets defeated by a 10-year-old who goes forth and captures the Time Guardian. Uh, there's a lot of weird things whenever you think about it with Pokemon. The evil team is terrible because they captured these three guardians of these lakes that embody different emotions of mankind to summon forth this god essentially. And this 10-year-old captures it, and everybody's okay with it, right?
Yeah. I have always thought that was weird. Granted, Pokemon is just weird in general.
Good way. I mean, if you think
Yeah.
about the story too hard, it's odd and just kind of falls apart. And I think there's a reason why the anime takes a lot of liberties with game mechanics and outright skips a lot of actual story from the games and just follows Ash on his never-ending quest, right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he never seems to grow up, and it's just every so often checks in with his mom and his stepdad, Mr. Mom, because there's some weird shit going on there, right?
Oh, definitely. For sure.
There's some kinky shit going on.
One hundo. Loads of kinky shit.
Just be glad it's not a lick your tongue, right?
Yes. Unless, I mean, can be into that if you want.
So, part of the issue I have with this game is that, like all the older games, they have to have some, essentially loading going on and processing going on. The Game Boys and later the DSs, they weren't exceptionally powerful. So there was a lot of times that, it's kind of sit and process and go through things, right? Well, the Switch still has those things. So you go into battle and, it does this, animation, and it just feels like it wastes my time a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
Which I know that's a Pokemon style thing, but at the same time, it gets annoying, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't feel like your time is being respected, at least mostly respected.
And after Jim Sterling pointed out something, I just can't unsee it.
What did
Every
they
time
point out?
every time like you pick up a item or pick up a berry or pick up really anything, the game goes through this long rigmarole, playing tunes and stuff. It just wastes your time instead of just saying, "Oh, you got this." Even the fastest text speed, it's still fucking slow. There's no instantaneous text. There's no right.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've played Pokemon, but I will soon when my kid's Pokemon gets here. Whatever we order him.
Mhm. Yeah, just be wary that. Remember that the old Pokemon games, one save slot and it's on the cartridge. I would actually suggest uh, probably cracking open the cartridge when you get it and swapping out the battery to make sure it doesn't die on you.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea, right?
No, definitely not a bad idea.
But some of the modern conveniences that they did bring into the game. So one is this generation was notorious for how many HMs it had. There are 8 of them. So that's in the old games 2 HM bitches to just do various things to go through the world, to defog, to surf, to fly, that sort of thing. They did make it so that instead it's all on this little app that you have instead that's in the upper right hand corner whenever you press the shoulder button. So that is nice, but then there's this whole convoluted thing of a random wild Pokemon helps you for no particular reason and has a little animation play out, right?
Maybe you just smelled nice. It's like, wow,
Ew.
it smells so nice. I'm gonna go help him.
He smells like bacon.
Bacon.
And one of the other things they did is that they held over the experience share from the the previous game that they released on Switch, Sword and Shield, which I think it was the second game or mainline game that had permanent XP share. And before that, it was a held item, and it was only sharing with one particular Pokemon.
Okay.
So it made it so that the difficulty curve was practically non-existent for the entire gym run. And it's your this is mid generation Pokemon. We're in Gen 8, about to have Gen 9 this autumn at some point, autumn or winter. Most likely that time frame at least. So this is kind of in the middle where they've really gotten the formulation pretty much set. You have evil team doing evil shit. Your random 10-year-old off to go beat the hell out of people that dedicated their entire lives to Pokemon, right?
Right.
Knock out 8 gym leaders, then go forth and beat the Elite Four and become champion while defeating evil team along the way. Pretty standard. Now, the problem is with the experience share, they didn't rebalance all the gems, so that I was going in and my highest level Pokemon, I kept my starter with me pretty much the entire time.
Right.
My starter was typically a good 10 levels above whatever else. And if I had, a good portion of my team with me, or my core team, they were easily over leveled. So it wasn't so much of playing type advantages, it was just, avoiding disadvantages, really. By the time I got to the Elite Four, I went in with I tried to go in without any knowledge of what I was facing whatsoever, because, trying to make it as challenging as possible. It was actually the first time I really suffered any sort of challenge in a battle was the Elite Four at the championship, or the champion. Because they were somewhat close to my level. The champion's Pokemon was level 50 to 55, if I recall correctly. and not counting my starter, mine was 60 to 65.
Yeah.
So the closest I've had in levels. But yeah, they also typically the Elite Four, the champion, also has slightly better or slightly more advanced AI and try to play to a particular strategy.
Hmm.
So it does feel like they may have goofed a bit with experience share, but that could just be the fact that I wasn't swapping out Pokemon enough, where I had
Yeah.
essentially a core team that was running of 3 or 4 Pokemon, and then was taking a couple alternates in for particular roles. So that might just be on me. That might be my problem. But I don't think that's an unusual way to play.
Yeah.
And one other kind of nice additive that they had was where you could access the Pokemon PC at any time to swap out, apart from gym challenges in the Elite Four, pretty much. So if you're in the middle of essentially a dungeon, or what passes a dungeon in Pokemon, oddball cave, doing whatever. If you have a better Pokemon that you can bring in, it's a lot easier than it is in the base game. Which is a nice thing, but once again, it kind of kills some of the difficulty going in,
Yeah.
It just felt odd. It's not a bad game, and I'm ragging on it. And it sounds like I'm disliking it a lot more than I did. I mean, I did beat the game. I did stick with it for that long. And I've been playing it since its release, so that is something, right?
Yes, it is.
And I guess it's just, having a data here, it's just, being exposed that much to Pokemon, it's more, seeing some of the cracks in the formula,
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how Legends Arceus does. I'm planning on playing it before too long. Yeah, essentially Monster Hunter meets Pokemon.
People seem to like it so far from what I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good things about it. That makes me a little nervous about playing it, right?
Wait, it's going to be hyped up too much for you?
Yeah. Yeah. The Elden Ring effect. Hyped up so much that I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. I want to play Pokemans again. I want to play the new Pokemans. I want to get... Oh, shit. I knocked my earbuds out. I put them back in. I went to go take a drink, and I caught them with my arm and pulled them straight out of my ears. Whoopsie.
Oh.
Hurt a little bit.
Yeah, Sword and Shield, actually, it wasn't bad, okay? Well, I should say Sword. I mean, Sword and Shield, they're practically the same game, because, it's the split releases.
Right.
I do have issues with it. It has a bit of an over-reliance on the wild area. You're constantly going back to and looping back around. So it feels more like you're, just going in circles than having what they typically have, the Pokemon journey,
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what Pokemon is. It's one of the few games that feels like you're kind of on lack of a better term, a road trip, to see the world.
An actual adventure, globetrotting adventure.
Even though it's typically within tied within a single area, it's diverse enough that it feels a lot bigger than what it actually is.
Yeah. I mean, they're all just abstractions, kind of in the way that video games do for large areas. But they do it well. They make it seem like there's a lot more going on than what actually is visible. They do the implication, and they do it well.
Yeah, I do intend to play the DLC at some point for Sword. Sword's story is a little bit more nonsensical than typical for Pokemon, which is saying something. That and your rival kind of sucks.
Yeah.
You do have technically 2 others that kind of fill the rival role as well. One is kind of Evil McBatterson. And the other one is actually one of the more interesting characters in the game, but you don't encounter her that often. So, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Sword is worth it. Brilliant Diamond, if you played the original, unless you want to go back to it, you could probably skip it if you still have the originals. The thing is that they haven't released the Pokemon Home implement. They haven't implemented Pokemon Home into Brilliant Diamond yet, which makes it a
Okay.
little bit of a pain to do some more advanced stuff in it. And one of the things is seeing all the Pokemon in that region to unlock the national dex, which does make things a little bit easier if you have it early. Actually, that does remind me of something. It's that Brilliant Diamond's one of the weird Pokemon games where fire types is not really well represented for whatever reason in the regional Pokedex. And it's not until you get the national that you could actually get a fair number of fire Pokemon. It's just kind of how it shook up, you know?
Yeah.
And they do have more than the original version because they did expand the Grand Underground, which is essentially kind of how the wild area is in Sword and Shield. Only instead of this vast open plain, it's a underground maze network that, depending on where you enter it, you could enter it from any place with a key item. And it puts you in one of 5 different, essentially, labyrinths that has different focuses on typing. A bit odd, what can I say? But it does, give some additional options. But it's not a ton until you get post game. Usually post game when you get the full on Pokedex to unlock more options. It's just right, and there is post game stuff. You could go tackle this essentially tower of very hard battles. You could go do the national Pokedex. You could do essentially post game missions to get additional legendaries, and that there's still a lot to do, even though I've beaten the game. But yeah, that's for another day.
Right. Okay. Well, do you want to hear about something that I came back to?
If I must.
So, I came back to play No Man's Sky again. It's been, I think, 2 years. I mean, it's been at least 2 years. No, it's been 3 years. My last save game was for like sometime in 2019. So 2.5 to 3 years since I played No Man's Sky. The sort of continuing ongoing story of No Man's Sky as they keep developing it with these really big updates that other games would release as DLC or expansion content and they just put out. Although at this point, they're not doing that out of the goodness of their heart. All of the positive press that garners does result in net sales of the game. And I've seen a number of articles and things talking about the economics of the way that they do this. Means that they make as much, if not more, off of continued sales of the game, with just doing the quote-unquote free updates. So, I mean,
And I imagine money from Game Pass, that sort of thing, also helps, huh?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a several big content updates. I'm going to be talking about my experience with them, and where the game is at now. Do you want to hear about the good stuff first or the bad stuff first?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to talk about. I'll talk about the bad stuff first. So with this game, the longer that it goes on and the more they develop it, it feels more and more like an MMO in terms of like the amount of feature creep and bugs and busted pieces that get left on the side of the the development roadmap. So things that they implemented in earlier updates, like for example, when they implemented the base building mechanics and gave like a little storyline to that, you could go and recruit some guys and do some missions. And you would build your base and unlock new technology and equipment. Well, as they have added more and more ways to get new technology and equipment, you can break the quest progression and not be able to actually complete the quest progression. So, for example, there are now multiple ways to get all of the technology in the game. For example, both base parts, upgrades to your spaceships, and little exocraft, which are ground vehicles that came out in an update. One of the first couple of updates that weren't just bug fixes. But anyways, upgrades to the exocraft and your suit and your equipment, whatever. So multiple ways to get all those things, and if you get one of the ones that the mission progression line gives you, then it breaks the mission, and you can't actually complete it to move on to the next mission because you've already got the quest reward. And so it'll give you like this weird generic, like, your inventory is full because you've got the quest like technology piece or whatever already. This thing, like in this, they fixed this because there's also some other story content missions that were added where that you are trying to track down like another explorer like yourself to like find them and help them out or something. And that can happen with the rewards that they give you. But they fixed it where that if you've got it, it just like skips over the thing, like the little prompt that's like, oh, you got the whatever mission reward. Like it just skips it and progresses the mission to the next one. So they could have fixed it. They just didn't. Then even if that doesn't happen, or you go in and use the save file editor to force the progression to the next mission, eventually you get to a point in the quest line where it just breaks because they changed the way that you get the people to come to your base. And so you can't actually get one of the people. So you have like a base overseer, a science guy, a technician.
Bill Nye?
Yes, you have Bill Nye. Bill Nye the science guy, and then like a technician for like your weapons, and then like an exocraft technician or something like that. But they combined those two into one. And at a certain point, apparently in the dev, in the cycle of this game, that didn't matter. Like combining the two people into one person, like you could just walk up to the specific alien race that you need and it would count. But then they changed how you recruited the people. And every space station now has got like a little room where you can go in and find people to recruit for your base. None of those people can be recruited because they're only listed as like the technician instead of like the armorer guy or the gunsmith guy. So that quest is just permanently broken. I haven't checked to see if you can fix it with the save file editor, but
sounds like it's Dobane's quest.
Right. So that quest is permanently broken. Which doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things unless you like doing the quest to have all the guys hanging out at like your main base, which is, pretty neat. But, it's just like that feels like an MMO thing of like, oh, the quest line got broken when there was an update and we just didn't have the time to fix it, and we can't remove it because, legacy reasons or code or something. So, it's just permanently broken. That's what that feels like. They have changed the tutorial again. So I've experienced 3 different tutorials playing this game. The first tutorial, when the game first launched, where it basically drops you in the world next to a destroyed spaceship that you have to collect the basic resources for to fix your ship and take off into space, and away you go.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was that when I played, and I found the game utterly boring because of it.
Yeah. So,
but I think I also may have had a bad planet for it because none of the resources I need was anywhere close to that fucking ship.
Yeah. Then the second tutorial was directed, because when I played, they had introduced the Artemis quest line, which was the one I was talking about. Like, you go find a guy, you're trying to find him and like save him and fix his stuff or whatever. And so that one is a directed quest line where that you get some more instructions. Your ship is less broken, because that could, to try and avoid the fact that people couldn't repair their ship and get off the starter planet. Like, so that had been quote unquote fixed. but it was still fairly open. Do a few things. Once you got your ship in space, you could ignore the tutorial if you wanted to. Big deal. Now the tutorial is extremely handholdy. Your first 2 hours of a new gameplay or of a new game are going to be completing the steps one by one. You can't skip ahead. It won't let you. Fuck you for even trying. And on top of that, one of the tutorial quests. Okay, so you have to get this thing called the terrain manipulator, which lets you manipulate terrain. You can dig into the ground to mine certain resources. You can use it to build up or level terrain. You can do decorative things with it for your base. Pretty important tool. Well, it was on my game that I started, that I was playing with King. It was buried in the ground. So the technology module that you had to find to get the terrain manipulator could only be accessed by having the terrain manipulator. And apparently this is a big problem that lots of players experience and have been experiencing since 2020 that they have not fixed for one reason or another. So it's kind of random. You can, if you're on console, you're just fucked. You have to restart over and over again until you get a world generation where that your technology isn't buried in the ground.
Until then, you're playing No Man's Terrain Manipulator.
Yes, no man's terrain manipulator. On PC, you just load up the save editor, give yourself the tool that you need to dig up the tool that you need in order to progress the story. And, away you go. And then there's just other little things like that where it's like, could you not have fixed this? Or could, you've worked on this game for, it was like its 5th year or 6th year anniversary, something like that this year. It's like, could you not have done this? Like, you've done so much. Like, why half-ass this one bit? There's the few really big things. And then
it's a callback to them half-assing the launch.
Maybe so.
Or would that be more quarter-assing?
8th-assing.
No, it's not quite that bad. I mean, the game did load.
That's true.
So that is better than a Ubisoft title half the time.
True. Very true. But, so that's, there are plenty of small things that I've ran into like that. Like, things that I think are spelling mistakes, or things where that something's just like a tad bit glitchy, or like, that's janky. That camera angle's weird. It feels like somebody didn't QA test this menu for how many steps you have to go down to get the thing. It's like, well, I mean, it was, optimized for quote unquote optimized for consoles or whatever, but just things that feel weird, like odd or bad design choices. But nothing as major as what I've talked about so far. So that's the bad. The good and the new things that they've added. So in one of the early updates, they added ground vehicles. So at first it was just like a little explorer car, and then like a big tank thing, and then like a hover scout, and now they've added a submarine and a mech, both of which are very cool. And they've added a whole lot of stuff for underwater, so you can build an underwater base now. Like a full underwater base. You could kind of do it before, but it was really like glitchy the way that you could do it. But now that there are actual underwater base building pieces that you can get, which is neat. Lots more upgrades for the vehicles. They were kind of pointless before. Like you could only summon them or, spawn them from specific places on your base. And initially that's the way it is now, but there are upgrades that will let you sort of spawn them on anywhere on a planet where you've got a base, and then anywhere in a star system, and then anywhere within like a certain like light year radius from the base where you've stored them in the ground, to make them a lot more viable and usable. All of their inventory spaces have been expanded. Generally speaking, inventory spaces have been expanded overall, which is good. Inventory management was stupid in a game like No Man's Sky, where so much of what you're doing is collecting stuff. The inventory was way too small. They've added ways to upgrade your technology and your ships more. So for example, before, like if you found a really cool ship, but it was like a C class ship, then objectively it just is not as good as a ship that you don't like, that's not as cool, or whatever, that's an A or an S class ship. So now you can upgrade your ships to raise their classes and to give them more inventory slots and more like tech upgrade slots and things like that. They have added an option on, I don't know if this is on console or not, but on PC they've added an option where you can turn off click and hold.
Thank you. Right.
So yes, thank fucking Christ. There are still things where you do have to click and hold, but it's stuff that makes sense. That's like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, click and hold to confirm that you actually want to do this thing, like destroy your whole base, or reset your game progress, or stuff like that. Like,
that's something else I found annoying was all the tap and hold, click and hold.
Yes, no, now you don't have to do that, except on like context menus where it makes sense to do that. It's like to prevent you from, like I said, accidentally deleting your entire base or resetting your game, or there's a few other things that it's like, are you sure you want to do this? Like with a click and hold prompt, but you can now navigate the menus with a mouse like it's a mouse. It's great. They fixed the way that ships fly, so they don't feel like you're like just flopping around in like a fish tank or something. Like they actually fly normal, which is good. And then they've added more and more game mechanics. So they've added, they did a major graphical and sort of optimization overhaul. So the game performs better than ever before. It actually runs on my, nice hardware at a smooth 60 to 90 FPS. I've limited the frame rate to 60 FPS, but if I unlimit the frame rate, it averages about 90, but I get some weird dips in like space stations and certain like graphically intense areas. But they did a beautification overhaul and then an optimization pass or something to improve the performance. They added lots and lots and lots and lots of new little side stories and missions and things that you can find in space, making space a more interesting place to be and making the planets feel more unique. That's the wrong word. More differentiated. Instead of hitting like the same, 20 biomes or whatever, they added a lot of new ones. They allowed for cross-pollination of biomes on planets. I've not found anything that feels like a real planet in terms of like, yes, this Earth-like world has got desert continents and forests and snow at its polar ice caps, but you will see more than just like pink grass, green grass, red grass, water. Like, there's more variety there, so that's nice.
So it still suffers from kind of the Star Wars era or Star Wars problem of single biome planets.
Yeah, I've seen some planets that I would describe as dual biome, but you do still have a lot of single biome planets.
Which makes the planets feel so damn small, doesn't it?
It does. They've added some new weird stuff, though. I mean, No Man's Sky's, like, quote-unquote story, even from the beginning, is like that you're inside of a simulation, and the simulation is starting to break down. And so you can find some really weird or interesting planets that are kind of computery in nature, or like I ran into like a planet where everything was bubbles. Like it had like a kid's bubble wand or something, like had blown bubbles all over the planet. That was neat. I ran into like a honeycomb planet that had like a honeycomb like lattice structure, and there were like these little glowy things coming out of the ground. So there's some neat, weird stuff. I haven't done a lot of exploring. I've been really focusing on trying to, because I just started a new game, and I've been focusing on like getting the reputation levels with the alien species I need and the money to like explore all of the big new areas of the game. So reputation systems, those had existed for a long time, but they've added a new colony management thing. Haven't gotten too deep into that yet, but it feels like it's going to be kind of shallow and vapid, honestly. It's like once you get a high enough reputation, there are now outposts on planets, like more than just like single building habitats. There are structures and like sort of like small towns or villages that pop up. And I've found a few different ones. Like there's at least a few different types. I don't know how unique, air quotes, they are. But you have to have a high enough reputation with whatever alien species controls that, that star system. And then you show up and you do some missions for them. And then they make you the mayor of their town and give you quests that you have to go on. And some of them are kind of like more daily quests of like, oh no, we're being raided by pirates, help us. And then some of them are fetch quests, go get 100 of X resource, we need it. And then some of them seem a little more unique in terms of like, or not unique, but a little more specialized in terms of like, you're on this planet, go find and explore and catalog, this number of species, or, oh, there's treasure on this planet, go find the treasure and bring it back for the town. So, I mean, that's kind of neat, but it's also like a lot of like MMO, also, like daily quest type stuff is what it feels
and
like.
Also, there's treasure on this entire planet somewhere.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So yeah, it's neat. It's a neat idea, but it does feel very MMO daily quest, like grindy stuff. They've added companions. You can get like pets, animal pets, robot pets. Sentinel pets, which are like the bad robot things you fight. You get a sentinel's a pet. I don't have a pet yet. I don't really care.
So it's just in there fighting you the entire time, but you swapped out its laser for a laser pointer.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't. Like I said, I haven't tried to get any of the pets. Like you can, if you get an animal companion that's big enough, you can like saddle them up and ride them around. But I don't know why I would do that when I can get in my car or my spaceship. Like the pets thing is like a nice idea, like it's a nice little thing to have, but I like haven't really engaged with that idea at all. I've seen lots of pets around in the multiplayer area, which they have increased the amount of multiplayer content they have by adding these things called expeditions, which are like world quests for an MMO, for lack of a better term. And they will have like a series of objectives that you have to complete, or you don't have to, but if you do complete, then you and the community get rewards. The one that's going on right now, I have gotten rewards for, even though I haven't intentionally participated in it. And it's like a do an exploration thing, and like catalog like new species and find new planets. And so pretty much if you're playing the game and exploring, you will progress that quest and get rewards. So I have been getting rewards for it, even though I've not done it intentionally. They did one a while back that was synced up with the Mass Effect remaster or whatever launch, and so you could get like the Normandy as one of the frigates in your fleet. Which fleets were, I talked about fleets last time I played this because they were in the game. They've improved that system. They've just made it less buggy. Like you could fall through your ship, so you land your fighter on your like capital ship and you hop out and you fall through the floor. That happened all the time. Getting out of your ship, thankfully, is an autosave, so you could reload the save and you would be fine. But it's just really frustrating to be like, all right, I'm going to do a thing. Well, fuck, I've fallen through the floor and died. So
damn it, I fell into the contraband hold again.
Right. So, and then the most recent update that they did that made me like when it popped up, and I was like, oh, interesting. And then I was like, oh, that's neat. It's not really interesting, but that's neat. Was that they upgrade or like retooled the entire combat system. Combat No Man's Sky was a joke. You basically like they had all these like specialty weapons you could get and upgrades, but the enemy AI was brain dead, and so you didn't even have to try to fight and win. So you really only needed like the basic laser blaster in order to survive combat. So they retooled the enemy AI, made new specialty enemy types, made them smarter and tougher. So the combat feels better. It's not great, but it's better than it was. The main thing that made me want to play it was this YouTuber I follow, the Patrician, who did the 12-hour Oblivion video. He did a No Man's Sky review, and it was like 40 minutes. Um,
Only?
only 40
What
minutes.
was that, part one?
Nope, that was it. He hated No Man's Sky,
Oh,
which
man, after my own heart.
fair enough. But yeah, he hated No Man's Sky. But that made me want to play it again. And then I saw the Sentinel update, and I was like, you know what? Why not? I'll play it. So that's No Man's Sky, where it's at in 2022. It feels like an MMO that has a lot of features that still exist that nobody uses or that are broken because they've been replaced by newer systems that may or may not be better, but they're newer. So they're getting all the attention.
Sounds like an MMO to me.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean,
So,
I'm thinking like, WoW, when new expansion comes out, nobody does the old shit anymore.
yep. It feels so interesting and weird to me to think about it because when No Man's Sky launched and, the before times, the way ago before times, they were like, yeah, it's this solitary exploration game. You can check out 18 quintillion planets and never see another player. And now half of everything in the game is like, hey, go to the social hub, find people and do the daily quests and the expedition, like world quests, please. And like, it's fine. The game doesn't make you engage with any of that stuff. I will say, like, it throws it up in your face, and like I said, there's a lot of quests that pop up that have to do with that stuff, but you can just turn off your quests and explore and do whatever you want at your own pace. Like, the game doesn't make you, but it's just so strange that it's like, just sitting there in the corner, like staring at you, like, come do multiplayer with me. Come play with me. You're like, no, you're gross and weird. I just want to explore and dig in the ground and shoot
Oh no,
robots.
I bet that's something that you hear a lot.
Touche. You got me. So yeah, I don't know if you've never played it before. Is it still on Game Pass? It was at one point.
Think it is.
Let's look. No Man's Sky. Yep. Yep, it's still on Game Pass. So if you've never played it before, I mean, go check it out on Game Pass, I guess. Unless you've listened to me talk about it and you're like, nah, fuck that. That sounds terrible. Then yeah, you're probably right. You probably won't like it. And like, that's okay. Like, I'm not like, I realize that might sound like dismissive or whatever, but like, you don't have to like it. Lots of people don't, and I understand why. I'm just the sort of weirdo that has liked the type of game that it has been from the start because it speaks to that very like weird need that I have to just like go dig a hole and listen to a podcast. And No Man's Sky can still do that. Just the hole will be a little bit shinier than it used to be, and you can do it in a mech suit. So they sold it even better to me. I already had it though. I've played No Man's Sky for 150 hours.
Well, you could always play other things on Game Pass.
You could do that. You
I
could
mean,
do that.
there are other games out there.
There are. Do you know how many hours I've played BattleTech?
I'm pretty sure it's just give it up counting and it just puts an infinity symbol.
2,047.9 hours. I'm looking at it on Steam right now. There's
How many was that?
2,047.9. How many days is that?
That's what I was calculating.
I'll let you calculate it.
I think it'd be easier to calculate it into weeks because it's 85 days and some change, or just over 12 weeks,
Nice. I'll be talking about BattleTech
or
again.
almost 3 calendar months.
Sweet. It's only taken me since 2018, 4 years. It's only taken me 4 years to get there. I'll be talking about BattleTech again soon too. I've been playing the latest stable release of BattleTech Advanced, and they've added a bunch of stuff, but that's for another time. You want to go talk about the news?
I guess so. So,
Speaking of war crimes,
yeah, yeah, back to some real news, right?
Right? War crimes o'clock. Game devs respond to the Ukraine invasion. So like we said at the top of the show, like if you were living under a rock, Russia invaded the Ukraine last week.
Or the future.
Right, or the future. Russia invaded the Ukraine last week. And has been doing war crimes in in many ways. Many war crimes have been committed. That's not to specifically pick on Russia. America has done plenty of war crimes, as have other countries around the world. But right now, Russia's doing the war crimes. And game devs have had stuff to say about that and responded to them. We've got a bunch of articles collected for this. I don't know.
Yeah,
Do you want to go through
so
them rapid fire, or do you have one?
well, I think the big one is this war of mine doing a massive sale and donating the proceeds to the Ukrainian Red Cross. That's
Yeah.
kind of a feel good one because this war of mine, that's a game I've been meaning to play, but I just never have because it's one of those. I know this is going to make me feel like a terrible, terrible person, right?
Yeah. Yep, that's a fair statement. Because
So
it's not a feel good game. This War of
yeah,
Mine was. Really, this War of Mine is, kind of the Ukrainian experience in video game form. Like you're playing people who are trying to live in a war zone, and civilians, and the struggle that you go through to try to survive.
and just how fucked up things are that you may have to do to survive.
Yeah, but yeah, this is a good thing that they're doing. I mean, it's, like you said, pretty cut and dry. They're doing a week-long sale, and all of the
Yeah, and they got
uh,
review bombed because, of course, they did.
I didn't know that. I didn't see that.
Oh no, they got review bombed by Chinese players.
Fuck those people. Fuck the Chinese. You hear me, China? Fight me.
I mean, things are absolutely crazy right now. So we have Chinese, getting in bed with Russia because, right?
Yeah.
And of course, state media, right? I mean, I really can't blame the typical Chinese gamer if the only information they get is Chinese state media, right?
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, China they're not the only country that does this, but they pretty heavily control the news media and just about everything else in China.
Yeah, the ones I'm really wary of are the evangelical Christians in this country praying for nuclear holocaust because it would signal the end times.
Yeah. I've seen some of that stuff, and it's really scary.
Yeah, they got Pat Robertson out of whatever nursing home they shoved him into. And it was, whew, I saw that video.
I will say, for the time being, the people in my life who I would expect to be on that train did not get on at the station. So it's like, okay, there is a line. It feels strange that, this is that line, but thank fuck there is one, I guess.
Right?
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. There's God, it's so I saw a TikTok earlier, like somebody showed me, one of my clients actually. They were like, check this out, like, cause we talk about COVID and our anxieties around that and stuff all the time, and this person is on TikTok is like, you mean to tell me that we've been surviving a global pandemic for 2 years because of all of these dumb motherfuckers, and now when we get to what might be the end, like, they don't live in America, they live in a better country, but like, we get to what might be the end, and Russia tries to start World War III.
Right?
Like, yeah.
I mean, I tweeted out a couple times this week. One just before everything really kicked off, Pokemon World War 3 on my trending.
I saw that tweet, yeah.
And then I did a follow-up. Well, my feed was right about about Pokemon. I hope they were wrong about World War 3 thing.
Yeah. We're not there yet, and I hope we don't. But I don't feel comfortable making predictions either way. I'm not a foreign policy expert. I am not gonna armchair, general a conflict that I fundamentally don't understand. I just
Honestly,
hope that
I still feel stupid that I don't understand what the hell Putin wants in Ukraine outside of maybe rebuild the USSR.
Oh, did you see the Soviet or not Soviet, although it feels Soviet, the Russian state newspaper article that somebody fucked up and posted?
No.
Oh, I'll have to try to find that article to link it to you. The short version of that is that they had already prepared because they expected this to be, a blitzkrieg campaign and be over and done. And they had already prepared this news article, like declaring victory over the Ukraine and how that this was part of Putin's grand vision to reunite the what do you call it? The Russian Empire or the Russian something. Like it's translated and there's a thing in there. It's like there might be some translation errors, but basically the Soviet states, and that Belarus was next to join to rejoin the Russian Federation, and it was taken down really quickly. But archive.org saved it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Assuming that's real, of course, right?
Oh no, it's real.
Oh boy.
Like, yeah. No, this is real news article, not satire, not fake. Somebody was probably killed over that mistake.
Definitely killed. Yeah, they had it as a tweet or something.
Yeah. Do you watch Bo with the Fifth Column on YouTube?
No.
That's where I saw it. I like Bo. He's he looks like he would be a stereotypical, like, redneck conservative dipshit, but he's not. He's just like looks. I mean, I think he's from Florida. He's like the rare example of like smart Florida man. Here we go. Here it is. He did like a 5 or 6 minute video on this today, and that's where I saw it. I'll link you the YouTube video. There you go. You can watch it later.
Yeah, I'll check that one out later. I think I've seen him pop up a couple times because he looks familiar.
Yeah, he's got a decent sized YouTube channel. 672,000 subscribers.
If that's who I've seen pop up a couple times, I just never paid attention to. Yeah, he does look like Florida man.
Yeah, but
which I know that's terrible. Judging a book by its cover, but at the same time, right?
Yeah, he's somebody that tends to be on the ball with it. I mean, he's human. He gets stuff wrong and is like surprised or whatever, but he tends to have pretty good level-headed political commentary. But yeah, anyways, welcome to the political scary bit of the podcast.
Pretty much, because a lot of this is in response to various things. As I'm on the wrong section. I mean, we also have Ubisoft providing shelter for its Ukraine employees and giving advance pay.
Yeah.
I mean, not really anything you could talk about there without terribly about it. I mean, this is Ubisoft, though, so, right.
Can't believe they're doing something nice. I wonder what the strings attached are.
Or, they're scrambling for some good press.
Yeah. Escape from Tarkov.
This is the funny one.
Yeah, so the ruble, which is Russia's currency, in case you don't know, the Russian ruble is crashing. Following economic sanctions and getting bogged down in a guerrilla campaign against the Ukrainians, the ruble's value has plummeted. And while it was not on parity with the US dollar, I want to say it was 8 rubles to a dollar. I could be pulling that out of my ass. I could go look at a currency conversion. But regardless, at the moment, it's 1 Russian ruble is worth less than a single US cent.
I mean, well, let's just put it this way. I'm looking at the ruble price chart on Google, and just a cliff after February 27th.
Yeah.
I mean, it was going downhill all through February as, tensions rose, and then just plummeted.
Oh, it was even worse than I thought it was. So it looks like 1 US dollar was worth 80 like 70 to 80 US dollars, and it kind of bounces up and down between that mark for the last year. And then the Ukrainian invasion starts and it loses some value, and then economic sanctions hit and it just plummets as the cascade effect started to roll in. Honestly, I was surprised that the economic sanctions were as powerful as they were. I figured they wouldn't really do much because they didn't do anything really last time it happened. Or if they did, Russia was able to hide it. But Russia's had, run on bank, the classic like run on banks and
the Daily Show actually had a funny joke about that one. Putin wants to bring back the Soviet Union. What's more Soviet than standing in line for hours for basic services?
Touche. Some cold-blooded shit right there. But yeah, so anyways, with the value of the ruble tanking, players in Escape from Tarkov are no longer wanting to buy or sell in-game gear with the ruble, which they use the US dollar, the euro, ruble, and Bitcoin. And so players aren't trading the ruble anymore, and it's what is it doing to the in-game economy? Anything, or is it just like a marked
basically
difference?
From what I could tell on the limited article, it's basically tanked the value of the currency because nobody's wanting to buy it, and it makes it so that NPCs really don't want it either. Which is an interesting game mechanic, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing, stores not wanting to stock Russian stuff, and actually seeing restaurants pouring out Russian vodka.
Yeah.
In protest. So, it's not surprising to see that that gamers don't want to deal with this shit either.
Yeah. So let's see. What was did we miss one of them? Escape from Tarkov crashing. This War Mine, you talked about that.
The World of Tanks
Ubisoft.
dev.
Oh, okay, yeah, the World of Tanks dev. Yeah, I was thinking we were missing one.
Yeah, well, we weren't there yet. So, World of Tanks also fired their creative director because he kind of voiced support on Facebook about the Russian invasion. Idiot. I mean, if you want to have support for it, fine, but realize consequences, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I would call him. I guess it depends on what was going through his head, if he was being stupid or not. Because I could understand if he's like, no, I don't care. I don't care what the consequences are going to be. Like, I feel like it's worth it.
He said in a now deleted Facebook post that following Russia's attack, that he supports the operation of the armed forces of the Russian Federation, the DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, and the LPR, Luhansk People's Republic, Wargaming, a Brazilian company that employs hundreds of developers in Ukraine's capital, Kiev, quickly disavowed the statement. So he is working in a Ukrainian company and saying, this invasion, pretty damn good.
Oh, I got it backwards. I thought that he was saying that he did not agree with the Russian invasion.
No. He was in support of the Russian invasion of the Ukraine while working in a Ukrainian developer.
Ah, I see. I had it backwards. I thought that he was against the invasion, like on the Russian side of it or whatever, or in Russia. Whatever.
Sorry. The company is Ukrainian, but the company they're in a different former Soviet state as well. So, right?
Yeah. But yep, consequences for your actions. Now I understand why you were like calling him an idiot. I was like, I don't know if he was an idiot. Like,
yeah, he's working in a former Soviet state,
right? But yeah, so that happened. And honestly, there's probably other stuff that we didn't see, or that maybe you saw, but they weren't as interesting because you were the one who you do our news
Yeah.
sweep every week. Um,
I mean,
so
these were kind of the highlights. Oh shoot, there was another developer that was also. I saw it very briefly, but I didn't write it down. That was also being reviewed. It was No, I'm just double checking myself.
I'm just
I
leaving
think
this mostly quiet while you look to
I
help
think it was
with the
space.
editing.
I think it was Space Engineers that was also getting review bombed for showing support for Ukraine.
Ah, guess the Chinese and the Russian people and bots are out there doing what they think is the Lord's work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a "We support Ukraine" on their store page, and well, it's already been cleaned up, but they were getting review bombed as well.
Did China flip flop? Because I know that they came out and said that they did not support the invasion. They didn't really say that we don't support Russia, like fuck them. But they were like, we think that everyone should be independent. And
Well, I think as Russia's getting more and more sanctions piled upon it, it's trying to win as much support as it can from China
yeah,
because they're about the only people that's trading with them right now.
right. Okay.
So, China is basically swooping in and getting a big trading partner out of this because, right?
Yeah. Which,
Yeah, there's a
that
New
sucks,
York
but I
Times
get it.
article talking about why the Chinese internet is cheering the Russian invasion. So, right.
Yeah. Hooray for more state-controlled media. Yay.
Hey, but look at it this way. As bad as things are here, at least it's not Russia, right? Yet.
Yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way. I've seen a certain politician that shall remain nameless, or sorry, totally not politician, former business owner, that's been saying Putin is an absolute genius for his tactics.
Yep.
Getting a 40-mile convoy stuck because it ran out of fuel.
Yep. I know who you're talking about. And perhaps our listeners do too. But yes, they shall remain nameless. But yeah. I mean, the whole thing's a mess to, no duh, but the whole thing is a mess. And, best of luck to all the mad lads out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seeing people pull up to a Russian armored personnel carrier that's stuck in the mud or has run out of fuel, and seeing them yell, "Hey, you want a tow? We can take you back to Russia."
Get back to Russia? Yeah, I love that.
Or the guy carrying the anti-tank mine while smoking.
Yep.
And carrying it off to the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just absolutely
mad lads,
badass. Or their president showing time and time again. No, I'm not like what Russian media is saying. I'm still in the country and I'm still fucking fighting. Don't send me an Uber. Send me bullets.
Yeah. Although he's problematic. I mean, certainly he's handling this crisis in a very, I think, the best way that anybody could.
True.
So, credit where credit's due, but he's very problematic.
Yeah.
Although, we'll let history decide how it's going to look upon him. But
I mean,
he
honestly didn't know too much about him before all this. I do know that he's a former comedian.
Yep. He's got some very right-wing views on social issues.
Mm.
But he's certainly, I think, standing up for what's right in this instance.
I still respect him for actually sticking around and fighting, because I could name a few politicians that would be in fucking Cancun right now.
Right? Absolutely. They would have been in Cancun like before. It doesn't take
Hmm.
much to get them to Cancun. But let's move on to the next news topic.
Yeah.
Again, I think probably our listeners are for the most part like aware of this. But just be careful of misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. Like it's pretty cool to think about like, the mad lads who are, throwing Molotovs at APCs and, you know, joking about towing tanks back to Russia, or like the Ghost of Kiev, or
Hmm.
some Russian soldier, or not Russian, some Ukrainian soldier that they're just calling Ghost. Um, because of like how many kills or whatever they've gotten. Like all of that's propaganda, and maybe when all the dust is settled and we can go through the official records, like we can find out what's true and what's not. But for every one of those stories, there are probably a dozen more of some mad lads who tried to stand up to the Russians and then get gunned down, or maybe they do succeed in like popping the Molotov, but then they get their car blown up while they're running away. Just certainly,
And also be
if
careful of what you share, just in case it gives information.
yeah.
Because
So
that's the other thing.
yeah, so remember that like for every success story that comes out, there's bound to be at least one failure, probably more. And there's propaganda that's going to be coming from every angle on this whole deal. So, as much as you can, fact check, be careful what you share, and retweet and all of the other things. Like will, in 6 months, a year, 10 years, reports will come out, documentaries and movies will be made, and the facts will eventually bubble to the surface. But we are
Hopefully.
in one of those major historical moments. We are in a significant period in history.
Can I take a break from significant points in history? Just one
Yes.
summer, please.
Yes, please. But no, we are in a significant period of history within a significant period of history. So just be careful.
A significant period of histories all the way down.
All the way down, top to bottom. So much significance, much history. Big wow. So
So how
yeah,
about Nintendo doing something somewhat significant?
yeah. Go lead us into
Okay,
this one. I
so
need to take a
Nintendo
drink.
Switch Online has added missions and a reward section. So this is just a little thing that they've added. They've had a a couple currencies on their online store, one of which has been platinum currency that's kind of collected dust for quite a while since the Wii U and 3DS era. And they haven't done a lot with it. Well, with this update that's actually launched today, March 1st, they added a little thing to the Nintendo Online store where it gives you a series of missions to do. And right now it's very basic ones. There's four that it seems like it's going to rotate throughout the month or on a month to month basis. So one is play Super Mario Brothers, the original on the Switch Online. One is play a game. One is back up a save to the cloud, and I can't think of what the other one is right off the top of my head. And they all reward a significant number of platinum points, which you could use to buy icon parts. So the Switch profiles, this is essentially your avatar for that. And it's across two games, at least for this month, Mario Odyssey and Animal Crossing New Horizons. And you can buy characters, you can buy backgrounds and frames, and mix them together to make a new icon. Which, it doesn't sound like a lot, but considering how far behind Nintendo is on their online functionality, and the fact that they haven't had any significant update to the number of icons that you could have for quite a while, it's nice
Yeah.
to see. Now, there are limitations. You cannot mix and match, so you can't have, like, the frame from Animal Crossing with, Frog Mario from Mario Odyssey for whatever reason. and it seems like whenever you start making a new icon, you have to use the components from that. So you can't, like add a new frame to an existing icon for whatever reason. Some people are speculating that it's legality reasons if they expand this in the coming months to more third party stuff, because right now it's all first party, obviously.
Yeah.
They might have issues with like Sonic having a frame from Mario Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
And it might just be a way to have that limited, or to not have that possible legal issue down the road, which is frustrating, but
Frustrating, but also understandable to a certain extent.
To a certain extent. But it's also, Nintendo always does something weird with its functionality somewhere, and that's the one for this one. And the platinum points, you cannot buy them. There are other ways to get them through the online eShop, through different missions, and playing the mobile games actually gives a fair number as well. But it's just a little update that they did that's actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
It was out of nowhere, really, or at least I didn't see any mention of it beforehand.
Yeah, neither did I.
And gives a little bit more customality to the Switch, which is sorely lacking in it, really, or at least on the online front of things. I mean, there's plenty of stuff hardware mod wise that people could do with cases and stickers and that sort of thing, but right?
Yeah. I've never really looked at what your profile would look like to other people.
It's the icon that you have on your whenever you like select a user, or in the upper left hand corner on the main game or the main screen. So like I have Mario, and Anita has a profile on my Switch as well. That's Luigi.
Gotcha.
So my friends see me as that one Mario icon. But if I were to go in and use the Animal Crossing stuff to build a icon based off that, they would see that as my icon instead. Sort of like the Steam avatars.
Yeah.
Only without the ability to upload your own one. You have to essentially get from the point shop. It's the same basic idea. Only without the whole, have to buy stuff to get points. Instead, missions, but right.
Yeah. This makes me feel kind of like the way that Xbox handles profile customization, or at least it used to. With you being able to get or create like your little sort of badge icon, and then creating your custom avatar and having that viewable and stuff like that. Like, and then the missions, or the daily, or not daily, but the missions or quests, whatever. That feels like the Microsoft account rewards things too that you can do.
Yeah, I've seen some parallel with that. Only there's no way to translate it into actual, money that you could use on the store. That's a different currency that is essentially a percentage back on buying something on the store or registering something.
Yeah, but it's neat. It's a neat idea. Something that will add a little bit of in that magical word engagement to their online platform.
Yeah, and they have said that they're planning on swapping out stuff. So right now, they are kind of feeding into the whole FOMO thing,
Yeah.
The Mario Odyssey and the Animal Crossing ones are only there for the month. And then later on, the Animal Crossing ones are actually focused on villagers that have a birthday in March, which is kind of a neat little tie-in as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they expand this more, or if they go in and change it up where there's more than just two games at once. There's actually a fair number of things. There's, for Mario Odyssey, there's 10 different characters with 5 backgrounds and 5 frames, which is a fair number of combinations. And Animal Crossing has an absolute ton because it's based on the characters.
Yeah. A lot of characters in Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm. And that's just the March ones. Yeah, it looks like I actually did complete this month's mission, so. And this does require the online membership as well, so that is something. And this is the base membership, it's not the expansion pass thing, which maybe eventually they'll have it be worthwhile, but right now, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Oh no, maybe with if they keep adding to it, because the Mario Kart 8 courses is coming out or starting up this month, and that is on the expansion pass, so maybe that adds a little bit to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
I wasn't expecting you to have a huge commentary on it. I just thought it was a neat little thing.
It is neat. I think it's a very neat, good thing.
We needed some good news, right?
We did need some good news.
Especially before we dive into this next topic.
Right.
So, speaking of monolithic corporations that does weird things with their online, Amazon Luna launched today.
Yeah. What do you think about this one?
I just the fact that they're throwing in some stuff with Prime, that makes it at least somewhat interesting to me. So, they actually have an entire they highlighted what's coming in April. So they're doing 4 games a month with, it looks like, some sort of limited preview as well. So Prime Games gets 4 games a month on Amazon Luna with no additional subscription, I should say. And then they have channels, which is where things gets weird with Luna. All right. I've not tried Luna yet. I got into the beta and saw that they wanted like $7 a month to access the beta, and just noped out.
Right.
So, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I also kind of got into the beta, but I missed the actual email that told me that I got into the beta, so I missed my window to sign up.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize you had to pay to be in the beta. I would have noped out of that also.
Yeah, so instead of Stadia does it, which Stadia is getting some flack from Wired, which was hilarious, but didn't really want to talk about that one this month, or this week, I should say. Instead of buying into a particular subscription and getting a thing, or buying games piecemeal, they have channels. It's kind of just packages. So Prime Gaming has their own thing, which, like I said, is 4 games a month. So for this month, it's Progs, Devil May Cry 5, which that'll be an interesting one to test, huh?
Yeah.
Flashback, which never heard of it, and Observer. They have some sort of short preview, this is going to be a trial for a game that's only on the Ubisoft Plus subscription towards the middle of the month for a week. Immortals Phoenix Rising. Then next month they have King of Fighters 98, Amnesia Rebirth, Trex Toy Box Edition, Immortal Shell. Yeah, real high-end stuff, right?
Right. You and I both are kind of like, we don't understand what they're doing.
Especially with how they have this set up. With its channels thing. So, the base subscription, Luna Plus, after this month, which locks in a lower rate if you jump in and stay on it, it's going to be $10 a month, which is the same as Game Pass.
Yeah.
Or PC Game Pass, I should say.
Yeah, PC Game Pass is the service to beat. You either have to offer more for the same price point, or roughly the same price point, or be much cheaper, or offer some kind of functionality that makes people think it's worth the money to get fewer games. And they don't seem to be doing any of that.
Yeah, and I'm just they actually have a game list on here on the second link on there, Luna. If you go there, it's just some pics. Saints Row the Third, the remaster of it. Metro Exodus, Yakuza Zero, Control,
Mm-hmm.
Ukulele, Impossible Layer. Like, there's a lot of. I don't want to call it shovelware because they are good games, but they're older games. They're indie games, you know? Like
Yeah.
Abzu. That's a pretty old game at this point. Enter the
Yeah. When did that
Gungeon.
come out?
That's several years old now. Contra Collection. River City Girls. That just had a sequel come out, I think. Or is about to come out.
And
Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. That's absolutely ancient.
don't get me wrong either. Like old games or quote unquote old games, older games are great. They're still great. There's still good reason to play them, especially if you never have played them before. But those can't be the, sort of flagships of your service or the main line of your service. Like,
And that's the thing, is also a lot of these games will run on an absolute potato. SteamWorld Dig 2. Both of those, I think, could run on easily on mobile. I think they are been ported to mobile. Luminis is on here, right?
yeah.
I mean, there's just so much on here that I, I know using the comparison to Steam is probably unfair, but I'm going to do it anyway. On a Steam sale, is way under $10. I mean, they just gave away on Prime Gaming this one, SteamWorld Quest for Gilgamesh. Literally this month, they gave that one away.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of why.
Yeah.
And also, you have this one, like 2 Point Hospital. Well, that requires so much DLC to get it in a more playable state. And I don't see any mention about it having the DLC for it.
Yeah. And I mean, my guess for the reason why is that that's what they can get. That's what they can use. But or that's what they're willing to shell out for. But if that's the case, then like why isn't this service like free to people who have Amazon Prime and then, $4 a month or something for anyone who doesn't have Amazon Prime? Like you're going to have to
have a small portion of it for Prime, but it's so minuscule.
Yeah. No, the whole service needs to be available, quote unquote, for free to Prime users and then be extremely cheap to anyone who's not Prime. And like Amazon's got fuck you money if it's a thing of like, having to eat the cost of it or something in order to, actually give it a chance to the service to become successful. Like Amazon can eat that. Like I'm under no impression that they couldn't. So yeah.
What's absolutely crazy is, okay, so that's just the base one, all right? But they have different channels as well. They have the family channel, which right now is $3 a month, which is a pretty damn good value, but that's going to go up to $5 a month. Or sorry, $6 a month, $5.99. Have to go down to the FAQ to see what the actual price of that is. And once again, it's a lot of smaller indie titles. Matter of fact, this one I don't see anything that would really stand out as, AAA big title. I mean, there's Snake Pass, right?
Right. Good game. But
Skatebird. I mean, these are a lot of games that I think your son would love, but at the same time, this is a $6 a month thing on top of the other one, right? So you're already looking at Game Pass Ultimate, right?
Yeah.
Then they have the Retro channel, which is another $5 a month, which is older arcade titles with some odd 2D platformers in it as well. I mean, some of it is emulation stuff like Joe and Mac. That's Sega Genesis. 1942, which is old arcade.
Yeah.
But that is, uh, it's just why, right?
Yeah. Just steal. Just steal from the big corporation.
Oh,
Don't
but that's not even the crazy one. Okay, you want to get into crazy?
go for it.
Jackbox. They have a Jackbox channel.
Yep.
It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things on.
Are they the 8 Jackbox party packs, or is it 8 specific Jackbox games?
It's Jackbox Party Pack 8, Jackbox Party Pack 4, Drawful 2, Jackbox Party Pack 7. I think I'm miscounted, by the way. Jackbox Party Pack 2, 5, 3, the original, and 6.
Okay.
So they have the different Jackbox Party Packs plus Drawful, and it's $5 a month. Right?
Yeah.
But that's not the stupid one. The stupid
Go
one
on.
is Ubisoft.
Yes.
Ubisoft Plus, $18 a month for pretty much the Ubisoft catalog or a portion of it.
Yep.
And it's pretty much Immortals Phoenix Rising, Far Cry series, up through Far Cry 6, which, right?
Yep.
Assassin's Creed, or at least a handful of them, and the spin-offs, Watch Dogs, and and a couple random indie produced smaller titles that Ubisoft produced, like From Dust, which I remember that absolutely flopping when it came out. Beyond Good and Evil, which, boy, that one's ancient, huh?
Yes, it is.
Starlink Battle for Atlas.
That's a game. Yes.
Monopoly Plus.
Yay.
Oh, I'm just floored about the audacity of all of this, really. You know?
Yeah.
And this is on top of, if you're wanting to play on your TV, you need to buy a controller for $50 as well. Because, of
Yeah,
course, right?
Yeah.
Which has limited functionality. I mean, Steam just pushed a update that gives more functionality to it on PC. And up until this point, it was practically a lump of plastic if you weren't using Luna.
Was it at least a nice lump of plastic?
Well, it's purple.
Well, I like things that are purple, so gets a pass. 2 thumbs up. No. Luna's, I mean, I don't know. Amazon might fix it. They might take the time to fix
Also,
it.
to have Prime, I will probably try out one of their streaming games to see how it handles. I know Microsoft's cloud stuff, when I had Ultimate for a few months, actually was pretty decent. There was times that, lagged, but yeah, right?
Yeah.
But I was also playing slower paced titles, and what they're pushing on Prime is not slower paced titles from the looks of it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want Luna to be successful, kind of, but it's not. I don't foresee it being successful if it keeps being the way that it is right now. Like, Microsoft needs someone to provide competition so that the Microsoft doesn't, go off the deep end on fucking people over to get the Game Pass services. But,
I mean, we have Amazon going absolutely crazy on pricing. We have Google, I think, forgetting that they produce Stadia at this
right.
point.
And Amazon and Google could both take on Microsoft in that space. They just
well, that's the thing
aren't.
is that Google is so focused on the tech of things that they're not they don't understand the gaming mentality of it,
Yeah.
And Amazon is used to bullying their way into stuff, and right.
Yeah. Good old cowboy Jeff Bezos giving us a thing. fucker. Anyways, I
It
don't know
looks
where that came
like
from.
right now Luna is only available in mainland US as well. So, I mean, I'll definitely give it a try this week, assuming I don't forget or get sidelined with something. So,
Yeah.
I'll give a report on how it handles. Who knows? Maybe I'll do some Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I need to play it too, just to check it out and see how good it is.
Devil May Cry or Luna.
Luna. I mean,
Honestly, I never
also
really
Devil May
played.
Cry, but
Actually, I never really
Luna.
played Devil May Cry. So,
I've played a couple of the Devil May Cry games. I like them, but I've not played all of them. Like, I don't like love them. I'm like a super fan or whatever, but they're fun.
well, I just know that that's going to really tax the stream because particle effects, right? It does look like they have add-ons as well. At least for Devil May Cry, where you can buy microtransactions for the different things. Red orbs, blue orbs for real money. So, right.
Yep.
So that does mean that they could do DLC for this if they really wanted to, but now I'm just going around looking. So I'm not logged into my Amazon on this. It doesn't. It's trying to push me to a trial. But going to like Yakuza 0, it doesn't have any of the DLC on it.
Mhm.
I wonder if that's just because it's the Prime free game. Could be, but it's also Devil May Cry, so.
Yeah. Um. All right. Ready to move on to our next news topic?
Yeah.
Sweet. Rimworld has refused classification in Australia, banning it from sale.
Speaking of war crimes.
Yeah. You said that not that you said that it was because of drugs, right? References to drugs.
Well, here's the thing: is that everything that I've seen on a few articles talking about this, I've just picked one. The ratings board didn't give an actual reason, but historically, they've cracked down hard on any game that does drugs. I believe this article highlights We Happy Few had to get remove certain drug references from its game. Yeah, because that game definitely does have drug references. Otherwise, uh, to get classification in Australia. Wasn't it Fallout 3 that got refused classification because they had morphine in it?
Um, Sorry, you broke up there for a second, and I kind of zoned out also for a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, wake the fuck up.
I'm trying very hard.
I believe.
Yell at me, hurt me, hurt me.
Well, now you just want it too much. I believe Fallout 3, they were refused classification because of drugs as well, because they had morphine in it.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with that. It makes sense. Like, they're at least consistent in that way, or they seemingly consistent, But I don't understand that. Like, it's video games. Video games aren't real life. Ban the video games that are like, yeah, kill gay people and trans people and, that kind of stuff. Like, ban those games, sure. But just because a game has drugs or violence or sex, like, don't
Okay,
don't ban it for those
so
reasons.
here's the actual drugs that are in the game, and they don't even glorify them. There are some definite benefits, but there's also some very negative effects on them as well. Ambrosia, psychic tea, beer, smoke leaf, flake, yayo, wake up, and go juice. I know they banned it because of beer, right?
They might have. Probably not, but they might have. Go juice. Go juice is coffee in my book.
Well, this is like ultra coffee.
Yeah.
So it makes it so that you don't have to arrest. You get bonus recreation from chemical because of chemicals. Restores psych focus, assuming that you have the DLC. But you also have a very significant chance of addiction to it, and a slight chance for overdose because right,
Yeah.
and then of course, a crash later on because
It's like meth. That's what it sounds like you're describing to me as meth.
Oh, then there's Flake, which I think that's supposed to be cocaine. Makes you happy, but also, oh, hang on. I think I'm on the old wiki, so it's not giving me really good info on this. Okay, so here we go. So there's Flake, which is a mood-based boosting drug, uh, but it could cause psychosis, and colonists could build up tolerance if it and get addictions because, of course, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's just kind of silly with all the things Rimworld you could do, especially with the DLCs. You could have a bunch of smoke leaf induced hippies that go steal cows and sacrifice them to their hippie god, right?
Yes.
You gotta have a bunch of whacked out flakeheads, which sounds like they have a dandruff problem, doesn't it? That goes that enslaves people and and cannibalizes them. But no, it's the drugs that are the problem, not all the other war crimes. Not capturing people and slowly removing their organs one by one.
Right. Just the drugs.
And definitely not the enslavement.
No.
And that's not even really getting into some of the shit you can do with mods as well. Sending somebody back with a bomb in them.
Right.
Just a nuclear one shoved up their ass.
Either a small nuke or a big ass.
Why not both?
Oh, touche. Got me.
Yeah, they put acid plants in them. And then shoved a small nuke up there.
Oh. Ooh. That doesn't sound good. Or feel good.
Oh, don't worry, they use the lube. They're not complete monsters.
Okay. Well, then that makes it all okay.
Actually, there's multiple stories in Rimworld of people harvesting most of the organs from a person. Maybe giving them peg legs and very basic prosthesis. Releasing them and having them come back time and time again and just harvesting more and more. Just recapturing them.
Yeah.
But no, it's the drugs that's the bad thing, right?
It's the drugs that are wrong.
Oh, it's the children who are wrong. So this is hinting at this classification that there's a console version on the way, which will be interesting, right?
Yeah.
I really don't expect this one to come to the Switch, right?
No, neither do I.
But it's definitely a game that could be played on consoles. I mean, I don't see a reason why it couldn't. Especially since you can pause pretty much at will to give orders.
Yeah.
I will say that the mods definitely make it a lot more enjoyable. If they could get mod.io, maybe. Like how SnowRunner has it. The mods aren't as massive as the ones for SnowRunner, so maybe it'll work. I don't know. It's... Yeah, but, if you're in Australia, it doesn't really matter because you can't buy it. Well, unless you're on PC. Then you could still buy it because, right?
You have more options for doing so.
Yeah. Speaking of options, we have our community corner.
Indeed. I don't know how that's a segue, but it works. I was about to take us there anyways. For our community, sent to us by Jim, Sid Meier warns the game industry about monetization. Somebody has to.
Yeah.
Well,
let's just hope he's not unleashing Gandhi on us.
right. So yeah. Essentially, the article starts with a lead in that the BBC is doing an interview with Sid Meier, who, in case you don't know, is the developer behind the Civilization series. I mean, they've done other stuff, but that's probably the biggest thing that they're known for. It's a discussion about how the game industry has changed and what publishers and developers have focused on and what he thinks or what they think they should focus on. which is that, to make a long story short, to summarize the article, essentially game devs and publishers are focusing way too much on monetization as opposed to making good games. Sort of the idea of like, if you build it, they will come. If you design it, they will pay for it. You don't have to psychologically manipulate people in order to get their funds. And yes, absolutely. I agree. I think we should just make more good games and rely on people to buy the games that they like. That makes the most sense to me.
I mean, there was, I did link a second article kind of talking about the article with the BBC. And it's really more the same. It's just kind of a different take on it. How there's just such a focus on how to nickel down gamers, for lack of a better term. That the developers have to focus so much on that because of the publishers.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's the suits that ruins everything, right?
Yep, because they control the money. And without the money, you can't make your game anyways. So, you do what they say or you don't make a game.
Meier also added that if publishers just assume that a game needs more monetization to be a success, but they forget that it has to be fun to play, then it just won't work. Right?
Yeah,
it sounds... there's so much on this article that sounds like duh, but we're in the wrong position to really understand why this needs to be said. We are not the ones controlling the money. We're not, in the lofty tower looking down on the peasants, right? But part of me fears that they're not hearing that anyway because, they're too busy sitting in their golden toilets, right?
Yes, probably. That's yep. It's the image I wanted to see. Them sitting on golden toilets.
I mean, they're not even using them. They're just sitting there.
They're using them like a chair.
Yeah.
Just to sit on something golden.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have to have their throne.
Trying to think here. What else is there to add to this?
I mean, there's not a lot to add, at least in my opinion.
No, me either. I mean, I agree with the state. I agree with the sentiment. I don't see it changing anytime in the near future, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, unless something radical changes or we just see more of a shift to independent developers. I mean, we've really seen that kind of already, where the independent developers, thanks to stuff like the Steam sales and just getting traction through good PR.
Yeah,
they don't need to be published to get that attention anymore.
Right. No such thing as bad publicity.
Well, unless you're working for a Ukrainian company and praising an invasion of the country.
Right. Absolutely.
Then it is bad publicity.
Don't do that. You shouldn't do that. Even if you think it's true, don't do that. Too late for him. Oh well. All right.
Nothing of value was really lost, most likely.
No, nothing of value lost. So that's it for Community Corner. Where can people send us stuff, Rage?
Well, if you were to send us something, you can do so vtlpodcast@gmail.com, tweet it to us, vtlpodcast, or drop by the Discord and leave something there. You can find that over at vtlpodcast.podbean.com.
Sweet. So, I'm not feeling a community corner, or not a community corner, a discovery queue this week.
A little late to not feel a community corner.
I already did the community corner. No, I'm not feeling a discovery queue this week. I am having a hard time staying focused as the sleepies overtake my body. So,
let's just be honest. You're bored of me. You're ready to be gone of me.
I never grow tired of you, but I do grow tired of other things in my life, like work and staying up too late and not sleeping enough. That makes me really tired. But hey, Rage, hit him with them socials.
Well, I've been in Caffeine Rage. You can find me occasionally tweeting over at Gaming or Cigar. If you wish to be my friend on Steam, you can find me over there at Caffeine Rage. And you've been?
Jared. You can find me on Twitter at JMA4707, where I shitpost about all the things, or complain about stuff, or just like tweet random things. You never know what you're going to find. I try not to be offensive. You can also
You
find
try,
me
but
right. You can also find me participating on Twitch streams of tabletop games over at twitch.tv/Runic where I play currently a really like the whole evil vampire man and am running a Battletech campaign, the RPG portion and the tabletop wargame bit together. You can find those. And then also if you come join the Discord, you can be like, "Hey, Jared, what's up?" and I'll chat with you.
woo.
Woo! Those are my things.
So, scrolling all the way back up to the top, once again, you could reach us, vgopodcast@gmail.com, with your letters, voicemails, game-related topics. Tweet them to us, VGO Podcast, or drop by the Discord, which, once again, a link to that and all our other stuff can be found at vgopodcast.podbean.com. Our lovely, lovely patrons have been responsible for this madness, and shame on you. But if you wish to find out more, patreon.com/VGO Podcast. Our intro to outro music is On the Ground by Kim McLeod. You can find his work over at incompetech.com.
And as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice, bye-bye now.
See ya.
Bye-bye.